Hey y'all, it's Trey with Axis Addict. I'm here today with the 6.5 PRC. Just had it rebarreled from Alamo Precision. I've got about 50 rounds through it now, so I've got a little bit of fouling in the barrel, get it seasoned up a little bit, and I want to try out 3 different Barnes loads today. I'm going to try to shoot some 5-shot groups, maybe a few more if they're shooting real well, just to kind of verify. I've got the 130 TSX, the 127 Grain LRX, and the 145 Grain Sierra Tip Game King in the Harvest Collection line. So I'm gonna go put a few downrange at 200 yards. Stay tuned, and we'll see how it goes. Here's a closer look at what we're shooting today. There's the 3 rounds next to each other. From left to right there, that's the 127 Grain LRX, the 145 Grain Sierra Tip Game King, and the 130 Grain TSX. Okay, y'all, we're down here at 200 yards measuring some of these groups. Check these out. I want you to see the 127 Grain LRX specifically. This is my first group right here, 5 shots with the 130 Grain TSX. The barrel was still pretty clean here, so it really started to tighten up with my second group of the TSX. This was my second group of the 130 Grain TSX, which obviously right here, you're looking at half MOA. Really, really good. I switched to the 127s here just to see kind of how they would do. And the more I shot these, the more they really blew my mind a little bit. This was one of my flyers here, I think, just as the barrel was getting seasoned in, fouled in and everything. This is 5 shots here at 1.5 inches. So you're looking at a group probably in the 7s, something like that. I'll measure the MOAs here in a little bit. This was the group right after this, which is probably about 0.4 MOA right there. This was the third group of the 127s, which is a half MOA group. And I moved my scope a little bit. The wind started picking up, so I don't blame these shots for moving to the left just a little bit, because that's the direction the wind's blowing. But even still, this is an 1.5 inch group, 5 shots, which will put it in probably in the 7s. I need to double check that. But I am really, really impressed with that 127 Grain LRX. I really think that's gonna end up being my load. And the velocities are awesome. The more I shoot it, the more fouling gets in that barrel, the velocities are really starting to pick up. So it's right now a 20-inch barrel. I'm getting about 2910 feet per second. So anyway, really good results. I'm really pleased so far with this gun and this ammo. All 3 of them are shooting great. And we'll go back and measure the targets here in a little bit. Stay tuned. Okay, we got the final results. Went ahead and marked up the papers here with my MOA card. Check these out. Forgive my scribbles here. I thought this was the 130 grain, but you can disregard that. That's the 127. Actually, all these are. I was shooting sub MOA with the 130 grains on the last targets, but I didn't pull those off the board, so I just brought these home to measure and show you here. The wind was starting to gust and my barrel was starting to season in. I think this was the first shot at 200 yards with the 127. If not, it was maybe the second shot, and there was a couple of shots off paper. The more I shot it, the more they started shooting like this. So I was real pleased with this. Obviously they're shooting high, but still sub MOA here if you go center to center from the holes. Just even including this shot with the wind blowing and my barrel getting fouled in, 0.93 MOA. With a minimum of 6 shots. There may have actually been 2 here. I can't really tell, and I need to go back and count, but still sub MOA at 200 yards, or right at MOA if you just want to be real fair about it. The second group was this one, which is 0.4375 MOA. Like I said, the more I shot this, the better it just shot. It just seemed to just really started to settle into that barrel. So that's definitely sub half MOA there at 200 yards. This was my third group with the 127 LRX. And that's 0.27 MOA, which is probably my best group of the day. One of the best groups I've ever shot, actually. Three shots there. And my final group, I moved the scope. I realized I was shooting higher here, so went ahead and moved my scope a couple of rounds, a couple of clicks, excuse me. And this was the final result. The wind was starting to pick up from right to left, which is why you're seeing some of these over here. Of course, it could be human error too. I'm definitely not the best shooter in the world, but the wind was definitely blowing some. So, but as you can see, they're still right at one and a half inches, little less than 1.5 inch group at right there. It's about 1.75 inch group at 200 yards. So I was really pleased with that. I really think that's going to end up being my load, that 127 grain. I love the monolithic bullets. The 145s are awesome too. A couple of videos ago, a few weeks back, I shot the 145s out of almost a brand new barrel at that point. I was literally at the range that first day, and those 145 Sierra tip Game Kings were just killing it. So you can go back and watch that video, but I didn't get a chance to shoot those today. But it seems like the more I'm shooting this barrel, the more it's liking all these ammos. Everything's sub MOA, and it's really starting to settle in. So anyway, thanks for watching, y'all. Feel free to comment. I really want to kind of get your feedback and, you know, learn from you too. So if you're shooting some of these ammos and having different experiences or whatever, I'd love to hear it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate the support.